Friends, welcome to all of you in the English class. Today I am proceeding with the remaining part of the chapter. Yesterday, when I started the chapter, I told you that it was a kingdom of fools in which king and minister both were idiots. They have changed night into day and day into night, and the rate of price of everything was only 1 rupee. When a guru and his disciple came to the kingdom, they were very much surprised to see this situation, and Guru decided that he must not stay at this place for a long time, so he left the place and went away. But disciple was not ready to go with him. So one day in the kingdom of fools, there was a wonderful event happened. It was very surprising that a wall fell on the head of a thief and he died at the spot. His brother went to the king for judgment and punished the wrongdoer. But the king was not able to take a right decision. He called the merchant which house he called the merchant where the wall was situated, but the merchant said that the wall was made by a bricklayer, and the bricklayer imposed this guilt on the dancer who was disturbing him. Now what happened? He told that because of the dancer he was not able to concentrate on his work, and the wall was weak and fell on the head of the thief. So it has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man, you have to be punished. So here the king means to say that because of the dancer, bricklayer was not able to concentrate on his work, and he made a poor wall, a weak wall, and that has killed an innocent man. So dancer must be punished. She thought for a moment and said, "My lord, wall I know. Now why I she said, she thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait. I know now why I was walking up and down that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to his house dozen times. That was when this bricklayer saw me. It is not my fault, my lord. It is the damn goldsmith's fault." So dancer thought for a minute and said that she was going up and down in the street only because of the goldsmith, because she has given her jewelry to be made to that goldsmith, and goldsmith was making so many excuses that he would give the jewelry this day or that day, and he did not kept his promise. He did not keep his promise and made her wait for many times, and that is why she was walking here and there, and bricklayer was not able to concentrate on the work, and it is not the mistake. It was not her mistake. Poor thing. She is absolutely right, thought the king, weighing the evidence. So the king measured the proof and said that she is absolutely, completely correct in her place. We have get the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. Now the king thought that goldsmith is the real culprit, real guilty person, and so they must punish the goldsmith and search for him wherever he is hiding. The king's bailiff searched for the goldsmith who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. Now the king's messengers, his um, his officers, etc., searched for the goldsmith. He was hiding in a corner of his shop, and when he heard the accusation that was imposed on him, he made his own story and told the king, "My lord," he said, "I am a poor goldsmith. It is true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I could not finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders. I finished the rich merchant's orders. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are." Goldsmith said that he is a poor person, he is a poor goldsmith, and it is true that he made this dancer come many times to his house, and he was giving many excuses to her, but he was not able to complete his work on time because he has to finish the work of a rich merchant. He has to give the jewelry to a rich merchant because there was wedding, there was a marriage in his house, and he was not ready to wait, and because of that rich merchant, it was very late for the lady, for the dancer. So who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall? So now king asks many questions. He asked, who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing the poor woman's jewelry and made her walk up and down in the street and disturbed the concentration of big bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which made the wall very weak, and the wall was so disturbing, so weak, that it fell on the innocent man's head and killed him. Can you name him? The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king, back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It was not me but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I am innocent." Now Goldsmith told about the businessman. That merchant was none other than the original owner of the house where thief entered and the wall had fallen. Now justice came to a full circle. The king thought, back to the merchant it has come again. So he was rudely, in a bad manner, harshly he was called back to the court. He arrived there crying, weeping, "It was not me, but my father was there who ordered the jewelry, and he is dead at present, and he is completely innocent, so he must not be punished." But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. So finally he gave the decision. After the consultation with his minister, the king said, "It is true, your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die." He said that it is true that your father is the true murderer and now he is dead, but somebody has to be punished in his place. You have taken everything from your father, his money as well as his sins, and I knew at once that you are the real criminal. and you must die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and get it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. So he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution, and the servants made the stake ready for the criminal. And now it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin. Now, merchant was found thin to be properly executed on that stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king was also very worried about it.